What is up, everybody? My name is Michael. I hope you guys are having a great day. It's been a while since I've made a Duelyst video, so I thought I'd get some more decks out there for you guys. These are Abyssian decks. I am back to playing Abyssian. It's my favorite faction. I started playing Songhai this season, and I learned how to play Songhai fairly well, but all the decks seem to go sort of the same route. It's just like, okay, well, here's a bursty turn, do a bunch of damage. Oh, you're within Spiral Technique range? Well, all right, well, I'm across the map, but you still lose, regardless of your board presence. I really hate playing against Songhai, and playing Songhai, it's a lot of fun to do a lot of damage, but it's a very boring class to play, I find. There are some intricate turns you can have with juxtaposition and stuff like that, and some fun things you can do, but trying to make, I guess, more unique decks in Songhai just doesn't work right now. I hope they add some more interesting cards in the faction, or cards to support more interesting playstyles, because pretty much Lantern Fox combo is all you see, or just some face type Songhai. It's pretty much all you see. I mean, even Lantern Fox Songhai are pretty much going face to just get them in range of a Lantern Fox combo. So it's generally always the same sort of linear style of deck you're making in Songhai. So I tried making some Songhai decks, but they all relatively did the same thing, so it wasn't too much fun, so I didn't want to show too much of it. So I went back to Abyssian, and I'm having a lot more fun. I'm currently rank 3, so I'm slowly getting there. I haven't actually played a lot of Duelyst in the past, week and a half, couple of weeks. I've really just been sort of keying back and sort of just focusing on me. I need to just take some time and take a little bit of a break from the computer every once in a while, so focus on my life and all that sort of boring stuff, I guess. But I thought I'd come back, get you guys some input and show you guys some things I've been working on in Abyssian, because I've been really experimenting in Abyssian, and I think the faction has some untapped potential with some cards. I mean, it's definitely the weakest class, or one of the weakest classes, that's for sure. And there's not really any getting around that. They just have too many weaknesses right now compared to some of the other factions. Even though it can be a fairly strong class, it's just that it's not as strong as something else in the game right now. So I'm always going to be playing Abyssian. It's just my go-to class. I'm just comfortable with it, and I find it one of the most fun and versatile factions in the game. So I'll show you guys what I've been working on. So this is going to be sort of like, I don't know how many decks I'm going to show you guys. I think I have 3 to show you guys, or maybe even 4. I don't know. One of them is my Arcane Abyssian deck, the Arcanist Abyssian deck. If you saw my last 2 videos, I did some gameplay of it. I've updated the deck since then, though, so I need to go back to my main post on the forums and update that with this new list. This one's a lot more consistent, and it's still really, really fun. So again, if you like Arcanist decks and you want to try it in Abyssian, I think this is a pretty solid list, and it's a lot of fun to play. So I'm not going to go through this one because I have a sort of a semi-deck tech on the forums right now. I'll update it with this list after the video. But the other 3 decks, I will go through the list and sort of talk about what I wanted to do with the deck. Like I said, I mean, I probably could be S rank by now, but I just have too much fun in this faction. There's just so many fun ways you can build Abyssian, and I really, really like it for that. Even though they may not be the strongest decks, it's a ton of fun to play. So let's get to it. First up is one I just made today. It's actually it's a burn aggro list, but we're actually running Sworn Avenger. So I thought about Sworn Avenger. I've always wanted to play around with a card, and Abyssian seems like a lot of fun to play it in. You are going face a lot of time with Spectral Blade and stuff like that. It synergizes well with Flameblood Warlock, which you're running in a burn list anyways. So you can potentially have, in the slower matchups, you can have a pretty good board control card, or you can switch it up and just start going face with Sworn Avenger. And it's one of those answer or get really outvalued over the course of the game with one card, because Sworn Avenger, you can just do so much with it, as and it's one of those cards where it just gets better the longer the game goes on. And when you're playing fairly aggressively and trying to stick to the enemy general, Sworn Avenger can get a lot of triggers off. Usually it does get answered right away, but it does mean that they're spending turns and resources just taking out your stuff in the early turns, which allows you to sort of just keep pressure up with your other cards. It's one of those cards you can just sort of place, and if it sticks, awesome. If it doesn't, well, they've usually had to make some awkward way to get around it. So I like the card a lot. It's pretty interesting. It might be a little too slow for this kind of deck, but I thought, why not try it along with Flameblood Warlock and stuff like that, and so far it's gotten me, pretty good. It's a lot of fun to play. I'm not sure if I prefer maybe Venomtoth over Sworn Avenger in a deck like this, but right now I think Sworn Avenger is pretty cool. Not to mention, just because everyone plays Jaxi, it can kill up to 3 Jaxies. It's pretty cool. So in terms of just the list itself, it's a fairly straightforward burn aggro list. Obviously going more towards the burn aspect as opposed to just a minion-based aggro deck. I do want to make a minion-based aggro deck in Abyssian, but burn's just so efficient right now, and I do want to try and make some stronger decks to get to S rank by the end of the month. So, but we're running 3 Grasp of Agonies. It's 3 damage for 1 mana. Face has early board control. 3 Void Pulses, staple in any burn deck. Just good sustain, great in the Songhai matchup. 3 Demonic Allures, great against the Lionars, Vitruvians. Ways to deal with early minions if they try to protect them, or just push big threats in the mid to late game just so you can keep pushing on damage. You can also set up good Grasp of Agonies, and that's about it. 3 Flameblood Warlocks, like I said, goes really, really well with Sworn Avenger. Attacking into their general or killing off one of their minions. In addition to playing Flameblood Warlock, you get 2 triggers on Sworn Avenger, so it can grow very, very quickly, and you can have a very, very large threat. Additionally, Sworn Avenger is great to run with Shadow Reflection, just because it has that extra 2 health over mini Jaxi, so it can survive like Tempest and stuff like that too, which is nice. But yeah, Flameblood Warlock's just good out-of-hand damage and good opening play, potentially getting 6 damage in for 2 mana. 3 Healing Mystic, because you are going to be hurting yourself a lot. It gives you an edge against the aggro decks, and it's just a good, solid 2-drop. 3 Jaxi just goes well with Shadow Reflection, just can give you some early board control if Mini Jaxi gets out early, and also just a good opening play. 3 Mana Forger, because we are running 15 spells, and in addition to that, you're running Dark Seats for 3 mana and playing a lot of our stuff for 1 or 2 mana, and just makes our turns much faster and more efficient, and then just being able to fill up with Rite of the Undervault and keep going is pretty awesome. So I like Mana Forger a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's just another big early threat, and I don't mean body-wise. I just mean when it comes down turn 1, you really want to get rid of it right away, because your opponent's going to start getting a lot of tempo over you, because they'll be able to play a lot faster than you if they're playing a spell-heavy deck, which we are playing a fairly spell-heavy deck. 3 Spectral Blade, just good face damage, good board control, sets up good Grasp of Agonies, not much to say there. 3 Knights or Assassins, we're playing an aggro deck, no reason not to run 3, goes well with Shadow Reflection. 1 Rite of the Undervault, because we do have a very, very low curve, so being able to fill up our hand and just keep pressure on in the mid to late game is always good to have. 2 Shadow Reflection, just to go well with Sworn Avenger, Mini Jaxi, or just any time we want to cash in 5 damage for 3 mana. Also combos well with Knights or Assassin, as you guys know. Sworn Avenger, I already talked about that, so no reason to talk about it some more. And 3 Darkseed, because we are running Mana Forgers, so we are able to pump them out in the early game much easier, and also just good out-of-hand damage if we happen to get blocked off. 2 Twilights, this is also the card that sort of gives us the edge in the Linar matchup, when every single point of damage counts. A lot of the time they do have 6 cards or 5 cards in their hand, so you get a lot of damage out of it. Twilight Sorcerer to recycle through all of our spells. Sucks when you get Rite of the Undervault sometimes, but more often than not you're getting Lures, Grasps, and Void Pulses with Twilight Sorcerer, and it's a good body to have. It's good to have some staying power in a deck, because a lot of our guys die off really easily, but at least it's nice to have Twilight Sorcerer stick around to trade with some things if we happen to be sort of in a longer game, because this deck has a lot of damage in it, so if we're spending some damage to deal with stuff on the board, that's perfectly fine, because this deck can pick up right where it left off fairly easily. And 2 Spectral Revenants just to finish off the late game, 6 damage to the face, or just 4 damage and board control. Not much to say there. Other than that, this is the deck. It's a lot of fun to play. I'm still experimenting with Sworn Avenger. I'm not sure if I want to keep using it, I mean, I just sort of made this deck today randomly because I saw Sworn Avenger and I knew that like my burn list had Flameblood Warlock in it, so I was like, oh my gosh, mini synergy, let's try it out. And it's pretty fun. It's a lot of fun. So that is the one deck I am working on. The next deck up is my Grim Burn Abyssian list. So this is another aggro deck. This one's a little more minion based, but it is playing around Soul Grimoire, and I love Soul Grimoire. It's so much fun, and you can set up for some huge turns. And you'll notice that we aren't playing Wraithling Swarm or Gloom Chaser or any of those crappy cards, because I feel Soul Grimoire doesn't need to be played in a Wraithling list. I think the reason Soul Grimoire is so good is because it makes your general such a huge threat that is not easy to remove without spending a bunch of your board. Reason being is because you can usually set up for just getting one trigger off, and then your general has 4 attack, which means it's usually able to deal with quite a few things. Kills off any of the 2-drops, kills off Emerald Rejuvenator, stuff like that, and then it gets bigger, and then now you have a 6 attack general with 2 charges left, and then your opponent has to choose, okay, well, do I want to trade stuff in and get rid of the charge? If I don't have any out-of-hand damage, am I just going to take that 6 damage to the face, which sort of goes in our game plan? It just makes your general a threat, and especially when you're using rush minions and a lot of low-cost minions that in Abyssian, your minions aren't going to last that long anyways. So you can make a huge general, and you can start stacking up, and it's a very huge threat for your opponent to deal with, and it's a very awkward threat sometimes too if you can set it up properly. And additionally, with cards like Grasp of Agony and stuff like that, you can set up for some big bursty turns, and I've had times where I've easily hit my opponent for 10 plus damage with Grasp of Agonies, just because, you know, sometimes they try to block you off. You set up a Grasp of Agony, you trade in all your small minions, get the Grasp of Agony off, maybe kill one or two of their guys, get in some face damage with Grasp, and then hit them for, 8-10 damage, and have their board cleared. It's just a lot of fun, and it takes some practice to get used to it, and knowing when to play it and start getting it ready is very it's the toughest thing to learn with this deck. But Soul Grimoire you can use as a finisher or just a mid-game threat. Just making your general a huge threat is a lot of fun, and most people do not expect Soul Grimoire because no one really plays it, which is too bad. I really like the card, and I think it works in a list like this. Rather than trying to hold out for like Wraithling value to have a really big turn, it's better to just play Soul Grimoire and just get a couple of triggers off, make your guy a threat, deal with the board. That's another thing I like about Soul Grimoire is you can still get quite a bit of damage going, even if you feel you're forced to start trading your minions in to take control of the board. If you can take control of the board and have a 6 or 8 general on the board and just standing facing your opposing general in the face and just threatening him, it's pretty awkward for them to deal with. So, going through the cards, 2 Grasp of Agony. I might make room for a third. Usually I have to judge whether or not I want 3 Lures or 3 Grasps. I like the Grasps, but I think just with all the Lionars and Vitruvians and stuff, Lure is a little bit better against those decks, and also even against Songhai when you want to set up for killing off one of their Lantern Foxes that spawns really far away. It's always nice to have that demonic Lure handy. But 2 Grasp is perfect for mulliganing for the early game. It's face damage, yada. You guys know how good it is. 3 Void Pulses, it's an aggro list. 3 Demonic Lures, it's an aggro list. 3 Healing Mystic, it's just a solid 2-drop. Same with Jaxi and Mana Forger because we are running 15 spells and just speeds up our deck. Not much to say there. Also, you can actually play it close by, and even if your opponent wants to kill it, if you have like a Soul Grimoire attached, it's an easy card to kill off if you need that extra 2 damage for Soul Grimoire. 2 Primus Fist, just to give some cards a boost for damage. It allows you to trade up, which is nice when you have Soul Grimoire set up, and also it's just another additional 2-drop to make sure we have some stuff going on in the early game. 3 Spectral Blades, just amazing, one of Abyssian's best cards, not much to say there. 3 Nightstar Assassins, we're an aggro deck. 2 Ready to Undervault because this deck plays a little bit faster than my other deck, and Mana Forger just lets you go off and have a ton of spells at hand. you could probably make room for one Rite of the Intervault, but because we have a lot of 2-drops and we do play out fairly early, having 2 I like, because you can just play a lot faster. One Saber Spine Tiger, having an extra rush minion is always nice, especially when you do have Soul Grimoire. When you do have Soul Grimoire attached, you are just looking at Saber Spine, attacking it in the general, and then now you have 7 damage, which is awesome. So you can have some pretty bursty turns as well, and additionally, it does go well with Shadow Reflection. 2 Soul Grimoire, already talked about it. 3 Dark Seed, because we are a burn aggro list, and an Emerald Rejuvenator, because it's just a solid 4-drop. We are going to be taking quite a bit of damage, because sometimes you do use Soul Grimoire to just take out big threats, and you will be getting some damage back in the process. So Rejuvenator is just a good 4-drop. And 2 Spectral Revenant, just because it's good late game awesomeness. But that is my Grim Burn list. It's a lot of fun. It's quite a fast deck, but also you can sort of play for the slow game and just set up a really big Grimoire. Because it's one of those cards where you can hit your opponent for 8. It's like if they don't have another way to deal with it, if they don't have a way to deal with it that turn, you can potentially hit them for 8 or 10 damage the next turn, in addition to like whatever rush minions you may have that turn or spells. So you can have like a couple bursty turns. So if you can set up for that, it's part of the learning the deck is just analyzing when you need to be more the control, and when you have time to set up for those big bursty turns with Soul Grimoire, or whether you should just start going face very, very heavily. But that is Grim Burn. Alright, and lastly we have a slower deck, because those last 2 are a little bit more on the aggressive side. Nether Abyssian. So Nether Summoning is a card I've always wanted to play with. It's a lot of fun. I know people play Keeper, but I like Nether Summoning, mostly because you get 2 minions, but also it just goes well in this style of deck, I think. And it's nice when you're playing against like more mid-rangey decks and you use like one of your big minions to trade with one of their big minions, and then you just play Nether Summoning and get both of those guys on your side. Since Nether Summoning is able to get their minions back in addition to yours, whereas Keeper is just your friendly minion that died. So on Nether Summoning also, since it's just not random, it's like not random over the course of the whole game, it's random since your last turn. You can set up, you can have a little bit more control, I guess, over what you get. But anyways, it's a pretty basic big Abyssian deck with Nether Summoning. Not much to say there. We got 3 Dark Fire Sacrifices to go with Gloom Chaser. Now you'll notice we don't have Wraithling Swarm or any of that kind of stuff. Gloom Chaser is the only Wraithling type card we have. The reason for that is you are usually fine with just trading one of these guys for getting out one of the big guys. It's just your goal is to get a big guy out early. So being able to just like hit with Healing Mystic in the general and then trade it and then sacrifice it is perfectly fine. Because usually if you attack with Healing Mystic in the general, they're just going to attack it and kill it off the following turn anyways. Since it only has 2/1 health, and they're not going to bother to use a minion to trade with it usually. So you're really trading that extra 2 damage for 2 mana to get out something a lot earlier, which is perfectly fine. So let's go through 3 Dark Fire Sacrifices because we want the early ramp. 2 Grasp of Agonies, just good early board control. 2 Void Pulses to give us a little bit of sustain. You could probably take these out. I think I'm going to take these out actually, and maybe put in some more early drops. This deck is very reliant on just bodies in the early game. Probably end up putting some 3 drops in because this deck does not have very many 3 drops. What I would put in is a different question. I'm not really sure what I would put in actually. Let me just think here. Actually, let's just do a quick search. What would I take out? Could probably put in like some tech cards, like a Crossbone and an Alcuin would be good, or Saber Spine. So just for more removal. Could also just put in a couple of Sarlaccs. Yeah, Sarlacc is pretty good, but I wanted to make a sack list that doesn't rely on Sarlacc, because Sarlacc is quite a slow card. So I do want to make a Sarlacc list, but I just wanted to try it without and see how it works. And right now it actually works out pretty smoothly. Yeah, let's just leave it for now. Let's just leave it for now. So 2 demonic lures. It's just a good... actually, let's cut the void pulses and put in the 3rd demonic lure and the 3rd Primus Fist. So we got an extra 2-drop, so we can have something to target with Darkfire Sacrifice in the early game. Just good early board presence early on. And also the 3rd demonic lure, just because it's just really, really good to have. One of my favorite Abyssian cards. It's just... you can do a lot with it and sets up good grasps and yada, yada, yada. You guys know the deal. We got 3 Gloom Chasers because the Wraithling is good to hit with Darkfire Sacrifice. And yeah, not much to say there. 3 Healing Mystic is just a good 2-drop. Healing some of your big guys is sometimes nice after they've traded with something as well. 3 Jaxi is just good. 3 Primus Fist is a solid 2-drop, and it goes well if we want to start playing more aggressively with Gloom Chaser and stuff like that. 3 Spectral Blade, one of Abyssion's best cards. Very rarely do I ever not run Spectral Blade in an Abyssian deck. 3 Nightstar Assassin, because it's just good face damage, good removal. Shadow Reflection, because it goes well with Nightstar Assassin. It allows us to be aggressive if we need to, and also it allows us to potentially have just a finisher with Vorpal Reaver, a very, very quick finisher, because Shadow Reflection with Vorpal Reaver is just a quick 22 damage if it survived a turn. So that is that. 2 Emerald Rejuvenator, just a solid 4-drop. 2 Nether Summoning, because 3 would be too much, 1 would not be enough, and we have a lot of late game stuff to hit with it, potentially mid game stuff if we can ramp into it. Pretty much the goal is to just ramp into something and then Nether Summoning to get additional big bodies back if they've happened to die, since a lot of these cards are very high priority wise in terms of getting removed, so being able to just force your opponent to spend resources on them, and then potentially just get 2 things back, is just huge turn. 2 Archon Spellbinder is just an extremely great card to ramp into. Playing a 4 mana Archon Spellbinder is huge. Yeah, not much to say there. It's just a quality card to ramp into. 3 Vorpal Reaver, good card to ramp into, and also potential finisher. It's just a huge threat. Very, very scary card. Easily forces something, whether it be Dispel, Removal, Repulsor Beast. Your opponent has to deal with it, or they're probably going to lose. 2 Spectral Revenant, it's, as usual, it's a good card to ramp into, but also it's just good late game value, being able to just control the board more and also start getting into face damage, so you can start playing a little bit more aggressively as well. Also extremely good to get back with Nether Summoning, since you're able to just get a Spectral Revenant for 5 mana in addition to potentially something else. So yeah, it's awesome. So this is a very fun list. I more often than not, my Abyssian lists are more on the aggressive side, so it's nice to have a slower deck, but that still has a potential to sort of pack a punch, I guess. So that is it. That's sort of what I've been working on lately. Pretty much all Abyssian. It's pretty much the reason I haven't hit S rank yet is because I've just been experimenting. I just love deck building too much. I'm just playing the game casually right now. I am going to have to start streaming it some more, though. I haven't streamed in a while, but I think now is the time to sort of jump back on it, especially now that more big Hearthstone streamers are streaming it, so definitely need to get on the bandwagon for that. Trump was streaming it today, and so was Amaz. They're streaming it now. So yeah, there's going to be a huge influx of players, and I'm really excited to see where the game is going to go. So hopefully we'll see you guys on my stream. You can find that in the link. You can find the link for my stream in the description below. I'll definitely be back streaming this week sometime. I'm not sure when. Definitely follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, so you can keep up to date on all things me. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great night, morning, day, wherever you are, and I will talk to you guys later.